Hello, Facebook, Instagram community. How are you? How's everyone doing? I know it's been tough for people and a lot of stuff going on. So share away. I know it's been hard. I'm just typing something here. Hi, everyone. So I do have something to share, but I'm just going to wait for people to come on and talk about something that I think can help people right now. Welcome, everyone. What day is it that people are quarantining for? What day is it for them? For me, it's been day 5. So what day are you on? Alexandra says, I have anxiety. Okay, that's good that you know what you have. We're going to talk about it here. Anyone else feeling the anxiety? Carolina says she's stressed. Yep, stuff is going to come bubbling up. So Carolina says she's stressed because her kids go from my home to dad's. I would just suggest that people who have joint custody to drop it and drop joint custody for now and think about the children and just choose one family and drop the ego and just have the kids stay in one house. Many parents are writing to me about this issue, and it's really silly to think about equal time right now. This is not the time to disrupt our children. Our children are disrupted enough. This is the time to really just have stability as much as possible. Choose one side, drop the ego, and let the kids be stable. Alexander says self-isolation has been challenging. We can talk about it. It's not easy. Shweta says she's feeling alone. A lot of stuff coming up. 13th day, 7th day, 14th day. Lot of stuff, because now you're being forced to sit still. And when you sit still, everything comes back up. You see, there's no escape. Pema Chodron's book is called The Wisdom of No Escape. Go read it. It may help you at this time to understand that there's what happens to us when there is no escape, when there is no place to run to, no place to hide. We're going to talk about all that right now. I'm just waiting for people to jump on. Okay, everyone. So here's what I want to offer you today, which is really wisdom that you can choose to ignore or not, but this is really the way forward now. We are seeing an interdependence in the world, yes? We're seeing a oneness. People are amazed and surprised at how one we are, how interdependent we are. But here's the truth. We were always interdependent, living under a delusion of separation. And if people ever asked me, what is the plague of today's world? I would always say separation. The idea that we are separate is the reason all of us suffer. The idea that we are separate is the reason we all suffer. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't take a time out. So the second thing I tell people always is when they're suffering, is you're suffering because you have an idea of separation. In order to understand how not to suffer, you need to take a time out and physically separate. When we physically separate, as we are doing now in this forced quarantine, we then do the inner work. When we do the inner work, we realize we were all interdependent. And every idea we've had that talked about separation or lesser than-ness or victimhood or winning or losing were all ideas that led to separation. But in order to understand our interdependence, we need to go into a forced lockdown. We need to go inward. So isn't this bizarre that we are on a forced lockdown, and through this forced lockdown, we are understanding the most pivotal teaching of every wisdom mystic, which is interdependence. Now, if we knew interdependence out of forced lockdown, if we knew interdependence out of this paradigm that we're currently in, we would not be suffering as much, ever. we would be living more harmonious, joyful lives. But it is because we don't know the lesson of interdependence truly in our bodies that we are now experiencing suffering when we are confronting the lesson of forced lockdown. So understand that all of this is exactly what we needed to learn. This is exactly happening because we need to learn it. It's not happening because we have talked to some supernatural forces out in the galaxies that are doing this for us. This is happening exactly as we have created it. We, through universal cause and effect, have created where we are right now. And we are now learning the lessons we were meant to learn all along. For example, the drug addict can only learn the lessons that it's or he or she is supposed to learn through rock bottom, complete dishevelment, right? We know that. People who are in the helping profession know that unless we hit rock bottom, we will not awaken to who it is we truly are. This is our rock bottom as a humanity. But it is through this rock bottom that we are going to learn what we were meant to learn all along, which is that we are interdependent. There is no separation. What does interdependence mean? Interdependence means one thing only, that we are all energy. That's it. Everything we thought we were besides energy was a lie. We thought we were an I. We thought we were an author or a doctor or an artist or a sculptor or a career person or a BA or a master's or a rich person, a poor person, a beautiful person, thin person, fat person. All those I's that we thought we were a lie. And it is because we thought we were an I am a this, I'm a that, I'm a this, I'm rich, I'm poor, I live here, I live there, I'm Israeli, I'm Turkish. Because we thought we were that, we didn't realize we are energy. And as long as we kept thinking we are Turkish, American, Jewish, Catholic, all those identifications, we kept thinking that we are separate from others. This is a little hard to explain, so you need to just bear with me a little bit so I can explain it in a way that's really clear. Till this happened, most of us were living in a false reality that we were our label. Just the fact that you used to say you are Catholic, Jewish, Hindu, Muslim, just that, or you used to say, I am a woman, I am a man, or just like you used to say, I'm a parent or not a parent, or just as you used to say, I'm a wife, a mother, a husband, gay, straight, all those labels you put on yourself, you see, while functional, while allowed you to communicate, at a deep level, were actually blocking your awareness that you are actually none of those things. And as long as you stayed stuck, blocked from the awareness that you are actually none of those things, you did not come to the wisdom of who it is you truly are. And because you were not in touch with the wisdom of who it is you truly are, you stayed non-interdependent. You stayed in separation. So it's kind of a domino effect, right? Because the world teaches you that you are your outside identification, husband, wife, woman, man, rich, poor, beautiful, not beautiful. You really believed all those things, right? And you kept you in agony, kept you Botoxing, padding your hips or not padding your hips, or upset if you were married, or upset if you were not married, or upset if you had children, or upset if you didn't have children. Because you believed all that, you never got to the awareness of who it is you truly are. And who it is you truly are is not that. So what are you? You just are. What is the you just are? You just are part of the cosmos. And what is the cosmos? Just at its essence, energy. Yes? When you meditate and you breathe, you begin to understand that you are breath. And when you begin to understand your breath, you realize, oh my goodness, what has been sustaining me is just gas, is just energy. And actually what has been sustaining me has come out of some other mouth. And what comes out of my mouth now sustains that mouth. And what comes out of our mouth sustains the plants. And what comes out of the plants sustains me. And what comes from the sun sustains me, and what comes from me sustains the soil. And when you begin to meditate, you begin to realize who it is you truly are, which is that you are just energy. And then you begin to realize that this energy is everyone's energy, and we are all just only breath. And then you begin to drop into who it is you are, which is this essential, interconnected, spiritual formlessness of the universe. Now, most of us don't meditate, you see. And without meditation, I mean, I don't know how I would have lived, because I would not have had this awareness coursing through my blood and mind and spirit on a daily basis. When people come to me in trouble, in a relationship, in life, my standard remedy is you have to take a time out. You have to go on an inward journey. I say this all the time. And sometimes people ask me how long, and depending on their state of consciousness, I say 2 years, minimum 2 years, right? Minimum 3 years. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I look at them like they're crazy. I go, what else do you think is the remedy? You think couples counseling once a week? You think going to the gym 2 times a week? No. For real serious rehauling and realignment, you need to do some deep inner work. And people don't like that answer because they want a quick fix right now. They want to manage their anxiety right now. So then they go drink or they eat or they get on the phone, but it doesn't take away the problem. The problem is not in a surface related solution. The problem cannot be fixed by a surface related solution. The problem is deep down. And the problem is a delusion that we believe we are our identities. So what's happened right now is that the lid is off, right? The tarp, the superficial cheap tarp that we had been covering our essence with, the cheap tarp of our possessions, our labels, our looks, our money, our relationships even. That was just tarp covering the essence of who it is we truly are. Now that tarp is off, the lid has been blown off, and now everyone is panicking, right? We have anxiety. You have anxiety not because you truly have anxiety. You have anxiety because you were attached to what it was. And what it was just familiar. It wasn't healthy, it wasn't beneficial, and it wasn't authentic. It just was familiar. So the lid of what was familiar has now blown into smithereens. And now you're feeling anxious, thinking that you are really anxious. You're not really anxious, really. You're anxious because the lid has been blown off. And you are forced to confront who you are without that. That's what's really happening. That's where the anxiety is coming from. The anxiety is not coming because it's really an anxious time. The anxiety is coming because your attachment to the lid is now challenged. You can't attach to the lid anymore, to the cover-up, to the tarp that was sheltering you in a complacent delusion. That has blown off. And that's what rock bottom means. As a therapist, I wait for a client to reach rock bottom. And I often send them back to go suffer more because they're not yet at rock bottom, because they're still holding on to the comfort of a delusion that they are their label, whatever that label is, and they still haven't entered the truth of who it is they are. So I'm waiting for rock bottom. I'm waiting for the lid to be blown off. And I know this sounds really ruthless, but I know as a therapist the pathway to healing. And I know that no one will truly heal as long as they hold on to a delusion. Yes? So as long as they're holding on to their home or their label, or I still want to be married, but I'm a parent. As long as you're holding on to these outer deluded ways of controlling your mind, you will not truly heal the mind. So I wait for suffering to occur that shatters these false illusions called the ego. I wait for the ego to be shattered. Yes? And when that ego is shattered and we are crumbling on our knees and gasping for air, that's when I know we will now spiritually transcend. We have the window now to spiritually transcend to a new dimension. I know it sounds so cruel. I'm waiting for people to be on their knees. But what I mean is on their spiritual knees. I mean that they need to be spiritually slapped, spiritually woken up. Their egoic comfort blanket needs to be taken away for them to wake up and to face the window, finally face a window through which they can discover who it is they truly are. Now, this is where we are at. Your window is here. The blanket has been blown to smithereens. You realize, damn it, that blanket is not here. And the fact that the blanket is not here means it wasn't meant to be here. It was just a cover-up. But something else is here. And this is what you have been given the opportunity to finally touch. And it's damn uncomfortable. And it's torturous. When I go to meditate, or when people go to meditate for long periods of time, it is torture, because you're finally confronted with just who it is you are, just you. You without this, you without that, you without distractions, you without the comfort of somebody telling you you're beautiful and I love you. Nothing. De novo. Nada. Back to basics. Who it is you are. You alone, you alone, you alone, you. And it is torture. This is where we are. And anxiety rises and panic, and you want to run away, and you're waiting to just go back to real life, right? This is not real life. That was real life. But here's the truth. That was your fake life. That was an illusion. That was a delusion. That was a cover-up. That was inauthentic. That was not who you really are. Now this is who you really are. Just you. You with you. And then you have to learn what to do here now. What to do here is enter your essence, your breath, through only one way, meditation. Meditation on your breath. And I teach meditation every single day on another Facebook page. I think the link is up above. It'll be posted here. Hani, Greta, Goldie, can you post the link here? Every single day I'm meditating with this group. So if you want to learn who it is you truly are, come to that group. So now our labels, our attachments, our identifications, all have been shaken. Can't go to work. Can't color your hair much. Can't go to the bar to get distracted, drunk much. Can't hang out with friends much. Can't be in the comfort zone of what you were much. All that has been taken away. And all that was taken away was false anyway, because they were crutches upon which you were relying to figure out who you are. None of them would have worked in the long run. Now this is the facing of your mortality. This is the facing of your terminality. And this now will teach you who it is you are. So through meditation, where you learn how to focus on your breath, you begin to realize that you are just breath. You've always just been breath. All that bullshit you added was all fake, was just for games and fun and play. But you, because culture didn't tell you, you actually believed that was who you are. You believed you were your grade. You believed you were your beauty. You believed you were your youth. You believed you were your relationship status. You believed you were the parent. That was just a role you were playing. A role. Who you really are is only one thing, breath. That's it, energy. And now you're figuring it out, and you're realizing that we're interdependent, not because of this deeper wisdom. The coronavirus is showing you that you're interdependent, because you're like, damn, everyone can get infected by each other's breath. Now take that lesson to a deeper place. Everyone was already infected by each other's breath, in the most glorious ways and in the most disturbing ways. We were always interdependent on each other's breath. We were interdependent on the natural world's breath, on the breath of the tree, on the breath of the soil, on the breath of the dove, on the breath of the plant. We were always interdependent. We just didn't think about it because we were living a fake, delusional life. But now that our mortality is threatened and now we're getting infected, we're like, damn, we're interdependent. And the mystics are like, yeah, we were always interdependent. This is not new. We were always just this, only breath. But now when our mortality is being attacked, now when we're on rock bottom, ground zero, now you're getting it, aren't you? That's the power of rock bottom. That's the power of this time. Now we're getting lessons that we weren't getting before. Before we were like, oh, I'm me, and I'm my bank account, and I'm my neighborhood, and I'm my Bentley, and I'm my Prada shoes, and I'm my hairstyle, and I'm fine. No. How could we be fine if the world wasn't fine? You know, I grew up in India, and I'm going to say something which doesn't show me in the best light, but it makes a point. And I lived in India till I was 21 years old. Now in India, for me, in a weird way, I couldn't hide. You know, in India, you can't hide. The person is taking a poop right outside your house, cleaning their ass right in front of your face as you drive by in your fancy AC car. And Even if you're in your fancy car with the incense and the Western pop music playing right outside your damn window, you're looking into a slum, into a person's house, and you can't hide. Okay, you can't hide. So living in India for me as an empath and sensitive, porous person, I mean, I could cry. It was very, very difficult because I couldn't hide. And I was like, can I just please go to America, please? Because this is just too much for me. And I knew I needed to get the hell out of there because I was dying. I was like, how can I live like this? I just saw what I saw, and I go into my house and I eat my fancy food and sleep in my plush bed. My stomach couldn't take it. And I was like, can I please go to America where I don't have to confront this truth of reality? And so I ran away. So this is what I mean. It doesn't show me in the best light. But I knew back then I got to run away from this because I can't live pretending I'm not seeing this. But the fancier Indian people seem to be doing okay. You know, they look at the poverty and then they go and eat. And I couldn't do it. So even now when I go back to India, in many ways I kind of shut down because I can't take it, right? It's just very difficult for me to make the two worlds meet, and it bothers me so much. And I think that's why I do the work I do, because I understand that we have a responsibility here and we're interdependent and we got to help each other here. And what the F are we doing collecting more things and taking care of the I? There has to be more communality in the world. There has to be more community in the world. And there is no separation. And living in India showed me that. And even though I don't live in India and I've kind of physically separated, the lesson I got, I understood we are interdependent and there is no richer, poorer, higher, lesser, Jewish, Muslim. And when are we going to get that lesson? And the mystics, the ones who meditate, they understand the one lesson that we need to understand in life is we are interdependent. There is no separation. Separation is an illusion. And that's why this virus is kind of the biggest spiritual wake-up call of my time. And people are finally getting it, but they're not getting it. They're just getting it at the level of, fuck, I can die by you're coughing on me. Like, so that way I'm interdependent on you, so I'm going to separate from you. But the real lesson they need to get is at a deeper level, which is what I'm talking about, that we needed to get all along. And I'm so glad in a way that we are reaching this rock bottom place to get this deeper lesson. And the only way to get it is through separation of the physical, to go deeper into the metaphysical, to understand our interconnectedness at the spiritual, right? We have to go inward. That's what every meditation retreat is. Separate from the outside world, the maddening world of form and ego and acquisition and competition and comparison and separation, and go inward to understand the metaphysical spiritual truth of our interconnectedness. And that's what we're doing right now. Do you see? So we have to capitalize on this moment and learn who it is we truly are. And the only way to learn it is through meditation. So go to the link up above and go join my page. It's free. It's not my page. It's a community page where I happen to be teaching meditation every single day so that you can truly learn who it is you are. Who it is you are wasn't who you thought you were. So please don't ask to go back to that deluded life where you thought you were the great and you thought you were your children and you thought you were your looks and you thought you were your acquisitions, because now you're realizing, oh, all that is being taken away and I don't know who I am. Exactly, because that wasn't who you were. Who you are is only one thing. You are. We are. We always have been and we always will be, just interconnected energy. And that's what this is teaching you at a very deep level if you choose to get it. So you now sitting at home can have two pathways, right? You can keep being upset, you can keep resisting this, you can keep wasting time on the wrong things, as in watching news and waiting for this to end. Don't wait for this to end if you're not ready for this to end. Please don't wait for this to end just to go back to your old life as you were. No, you're not ready for this to end. We're not ready for this to end just yet. I'm like, no, let this not end just now till we come back in a higher consciousness. Of course, I don't want people harmed and hurt. Please don't get me wrong. But I want our consciousness to change. So I'm like, no, we need this for another 30 days because we're not getting the lesson. The lesson is that we have always been one energy. So when we come out of this, we have to come out with truly a sedimented new consciousness that we are one. Now, it doesn't mean I have to go live with people who violate my boundaries or who inform I don't get along with, but I need to understand that that is only an illusion. Even if I don't like this person or that person. It's only form. Even if that person hurt me, it's only form. Now, when I go back into the real fake world, I will realize that on the formless level, we are all one. So I will release my upsetness with everyone. I will enter a true camaraderie with everyone. I will let go of my possessions, of my clinginess, of my label, of you and me. I will understand, even though there is a you and me in the form-based world, there is no you and me in the formless world. And I have now understood that. And only when I have understood that will I say, let me go back out into the world. So this is your mandate now, to understand who you are on the true level, on the authentic level, on the essential level, on the level of your essence, on the formless level. And to do that, we must separate physically, to go into the metaphysical, to elevate into the spiritual. Only through inner work, only through breathing. You are only breath. We have all only been breath. There is only breath. Breath of nature, breath of life, breath of each other. When we understand that, our consciousness will rise and we will go out different. Go out understanding that it's still the world of form, but now I have this awareness that I will never lose again, that we are interdependent and all my attachments to labels are actually an illusion. Now I get it. So when I now go back into the world and I attach to a label, I will know it's an illusion. The next time I go back into the world and I worry about my child and I think it's my child, I will realize that the my is an illusion. Everyone who knows me knows I named my daughter for that reason, Maya. Maya in Hindi, Sanskrit means illusion. I named her illusion to remind me that this my child business that I have going on in my deluded mind is an illusion. And if I understand that, I understand all of the illusions. So the world is an illusion because we believe in the false labels and identifications that our mind has taught us to believe. All of that is an illusion. The world of form is an illusion. We are only breath, which means we are only always living and dying. Always, always, always. And therefore, one day when the form dies, it'll just be the final transformation of this form, but it doesn't mean death at all, because this form will transform, as I said yesterday, at least into bacteria. And then we know bacteria is always transforming into the next thing. So transformation is eternal. So there is no real death. There is only transformation. And that's what this whole thing is about. Interdependent, interconnected origination. So the Buddha talked about interdependent origination, and that's cause and effect. And the cause and effect and interdependent origination will go on for eternity. So let go of the attachment to this form. Let go of the attachment to this face. Let go of the attachment to your name. Let go of the attachment to your labels, because you are going to go on forever. So that is eternal. But the death is eternal too. So if death is eternal too, what are we clinging on to? It's not life that's eternal, it's death that is eternal. And in the death is life, but death is eternal. So why are you afraid? There's nothing to be afraid of. We just have to surrender and sink into our eternal death. But in the eternal death is eternal life, is eternal death, is eternal life. And allow yourself to transform. So I know these lessons seem a little bit esoteric and deep, because they are. They are only esoteric and deep because we haven't learned it at school and we haven't learned it in life. But this is what we need to learn. This is deep shit, only because it's not stuff that's out there. Because what's out there is only consumerist, materialist, capitalist BS that we all bought into. And none of it is going to work right now. Right now, the only thing that's going to work is you understanding who you truly are. And who you truly are is not that. Who you truly are is energy. And once you understand energy, you understand we are all the same. So Jewish, Muslim, fat, thin, tall, big, small, male, female. While there is male, female, man, woman are all constructs, all cultural constructs that we put upon who it is we truly are. Now, when we take out those constructs, we see energy to energy, which is how we should have been seeing each other anyway, all this time, energy to energy. Imagine the world if we all just saw each other as energy to energy and release everything else. Release all labels, judgments, possessions, and control. Release it. Because there is no possession, there is no control, there is no yours, there is no mine, there is nothing, just energy to energy. This is the consciousness that is being asked to come forth you right now. This is what we use this time for. So meditation is the way. Join my meditation page to learn how to meditate, to learn to discover who it is you truly are. Thank you for listening. Sorry if it was vague and extra, but I'm not really sorry. It is what it is. You get it or you don't. If you're meant to get it, you're going to get it because you're ready to get it. Okay. Until tomorrow. Goodbye for now.